Today on the podcast, I'm joined by the fifth Beetle, the female Elvis, the woman whose music has set my soul free and on fire for quite some time now, epitomizing the spirit of rock and roll like we haven't heard, seen, or felt in many years. Dorothy, how's your day going?
That was quite an intro. My day is going great after that intro. Wow.
And I mean it. And I mean every word of it.
I especially like the female Elvis. I love Elvis. I'm an Elvis fan.
I am obsessed. Have you been an Elvis fan your entire life?
Well, I grew up listening to a lot of oldies and Motown, and so of course Elvis. And the songwriting was just so amazing. And I've been looking for a white jumpsuit, but no luck, not yet.
There you go. Well, I believe it. You have, some of the best style I've ever seen. So stay tuned. The jumpsuit is coming, everyone.
The jumpsuit era is album 4. Watch out now.
Oh, yeah. I just saw glitter pants last night on your Instagram. And I was like, ooh, glitter pants. Yes. I love those. So we're going to cover everything, your life, music, all of it. But I like to meet people where they are and the headspace they're currently in. Last night on your Instagram story, I love your social media posts so much. They're so real, raw, human. I saw you post one cute quote that said, "Your pain is a gift." What does that mean to you?
I love that you're giving me the opportunity to be so honest and transparent today because, I'm not someone who can wear a mask or pretend to be something I'm not, and so the way I deal with my pain is really interesting. I don't care about being public about it. And the intention behind some of these posts is really not to character assassinate someone else, because I just don't really mention on a personal level. I give a vague sort of idea of what I'm going through in the hopes that if I'm going through this, then someone else is going through this. And I can only imagine how bewildered or sad or whatever they're dealing with, right? If I could say something that might shine a light on a solution for them or healing, then I'm going to just do it. I might look crazy or I might look emotional. And that's the problem, though. It's easy to just dismiss that, especially when you're a woman, that you're crazy and emotional. And very toxic partners have done that to me. So Zach Myers from Shinedown posted a picture of his singer, and the tattoo on his hand said, "Your pain is a gift." And when I saw that, I started sobbing, and then it took me all day thinking about this. And I'm like, because I believe in God. I'm like, God, why is it a gift though? Why? It sucks so bad. Why am I going through this? Why is it a gift? I posted it. I thought about it all day. And you would think that this answer would be super easy this would be an easy conclusion to come to. But really it's because unless you're a psychopath, it makes you more compassionate.
If I'm having a bad day, everyone knows about it on my Instagram stories. If I'm going through a breakup or something like that,
yeah,
everyone knows about it. And I kind of do the same thing. And I've seen so many of your posts for a really long time. And I've just gone okay, so I'm not alone. I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Right.
It's a process.
You're seen. You feel seen. And friends will probably reach out and go, "Bro, are you okay?" And I'm done saying yeah, I'm fine. If I'm not okay, I'm not okay. And I just go, "Hey, yeah, I'm going through it. Can you pray for me?" And I just try to be as transparent and honest as I can. Because what if it helps you? And so specifically, I've been doing a lot of reading. There's this wonderful book by Debbie Mirza called Worthy of Love.
I ordered it last night from your link.
Yeah, you did? Great. And I just want to shed light on this topic because specifically, getting discarded by a narcissistic partner can be one of the most confusing, painful things you'll ever go through, because your reality, you question your reality. You start to think, "I'm crazy. What did I do?" Because there's it's very, very complex. It's a complex issue. Unfortunately, this isn't my first rodeo. Unfortunately, this isn't my first time dealing with something like this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to turn this around for good. And I have good days. I have bad days. I have reactive days, and I have days where I feel like I've achieved spiritual enlightenment because the grieving process is not a straight line. It's up and down, and there's all these stages to it. But I was like, I'm not going to let this evil, and not that the person is evil, just the whatever the energy is behind this personality disorder, I'm not going to let it win, because I know who I am. I know I'm a good person. I know that I'm empathetic. I feel guilty when I hurt somebody. I try to make amends immediately. I know that I go into things with pure intentions. I don't go in and with a lie. Like, I just can't. And in fact, I can't fucking stand liars. Okay. That's a big problem for me. So, I was like, I'm just going to shed light on what I'm going through, because I'm sure there's other people out there that are maybe hurting, and not to be like holier than thou, or I'm so great. It's just that, like, I wish somebody had said something that would have helped me. But what did help me was finding, because I started, listen, if you're Googling things like gaslighting, you're probably being gaslighted. If you're Googling things like, is my partner a narcissist? Chances are they are. And chances are you're not. And it's very common to question that, because when we get treated that way, we can lash out and act out all crazy. And then it's easy for them to go, see, they're the crazy one. That is the definition. That is like typical gaslighting. So my heart goes out to anybody that's kind of hurting from an experience like that. And it can take a long time to get closure, and you're not going to get closure from that person. And so these authors like Debbie Mirza and Lisa A. Romano has a great podcast. The light bulb would go off for me, and I would get the validation of what I was feeling and the closure from reading their books and listening to the things that they were saying. And it really helped facilitate. It's helping, because it's a journey that I'm going through currently, and I've gone through again in the past, can help facilitate healing.
I love it. I've done this like maybe 2, 3, 4 times, something like that. And I'm just like, wow. And it's so funny how they like turn around on you and they're like, why are you so mean to me? It's like, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So since this, we'll definitely talk about music today, but I was married. When I was 21, I married a violent, abusive sociopath. This man wanted a green card. He used up all my credit cards. He destroyed my credit. He was 6'6" tall. He kicked me in the stomach, and I went flying across the room. I was so what I thought was head over heels in love with his pathology. Was overt. It was in your face. It was very abusive. It was very violent. And so now I've gone through this again, and I'm just like, wow, all the red flags were there, but there's variations of this, and they can be very covert. And the way that's like actually the more dangerous 2.0 version, because they seem humble and they get you to feel sorry for them. They triangulate you with their crazy ex, which is literally what just happened. And then they get you to doubt your reality, like verbatim. He would say things like, I have a problem walking away from good women in my life, and that needs to be looked at. And when I brought it up, his response was, what? You misinterpreted that and you twisted it around, to manipulate me. And that's gaslighting, right? That's an example of gaslighting. And I just laughed, and I'm like, I know what you are, but I'm still so fucking angry. Like, I know that they're never going to see it. Actually, someone in my recovery program told me that if and when, because I think it's rare, a narcissist goes to therapy, usually they're doing it because they're trying to manipulate a partner. But it's the one diagnosis that the mental health professional won't give to them because they won't accept it. They won't see it. And I'm like, I did a lot of self-reflection and still am doing a lot of self-reflection, questioning my, who am I? What am I doing? And that willingness to look at yourself and self-reflect and then go, well, what if I'm in the wrong? Like, what am I accountable for? That right there shows that you're not the narcissist. They typically gravitate towards very empathetic partners that have something going on. But when they discard you, has nothing to do with you. And that's a really hard thing to wrap your brain around because it's incredibly emotionally damaging. Unless you're really recovered and healed. And I don't know. I don't know too many people that are truly that, if they went through it, it's still going to affect them in some way. And so it has nothing to do with you. It's just their MO. It's the way that they operate. And I can't wrap my brain around that because to me, like, love bombing, using, and then discarding someone is the most disgusting thing to me. I can't wrap my brain around how someone can so easily do that. And that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm angry. Let me just talk about it on social media because I think more people need to be aware of it.
I feel like your voice is like one in a generation. So for me, it's like you and Alanis Morissette. Like, as far as like emotionality of like how it hits me, how it touches me, like I party with your music. Yes, I drink and have fun with it, but it's also like touches on some sort of level that's very deep. That's very therapeutic. So I think it's so important that you do share because you're such a fabulous woman that,
thank you.
It's just, you're doing like a great service to all the women out there, just being real and honest about real things that are happening to you and not just being like, I'm fabulous. Here's my fabulous music video. You know what I mean? And only showing that aspect and not showing that you're like a real person. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I really love Alanis. I grew up on that too.
Absolutely. Did you see her on her last tour?
I didn't get to, no.
Oh, boo. Yeah, I saw her on the last tour like a summer or two ago. And then like 7 years before that. And I got off work. I ran to a cab, got there, got in for free because I was only one person. They're like, here's a radio ticket. After the show, everyone left and there were 30 people left in the stadium. And we all ran down to the stage and she sat down on the stage and just like sang with us, like at the big stadium. And like there were 30 people and she just like sat there and sang for everyone for like 20 minutes. So great story, right?
Yeah, amazing.
We love our ladies. We love what they do for us. And I also saw last social media, but I also saw that you shared something from Steve Furtick. Love him. Just found him. He's great as well.
He's really been helping me through this a lot. Because if it wasn't for things like prayer and meditation and, we can't control other people. We really can't control other people, and accepting that is hard. But it's the key to your freedom. And like some days are better than others. And when I'm struggling, I just go, God, give me the strength I can't forgive this person. I want to. I would love to forgive and just move on and push a button and be like, everything is well in the universe, but I can't. So sometimes my strength has to come from a higher power. And, I've had good moments and bad moments, but overall, like, I think there's been a pretty good amount of spiritual growth. One thing, and like your pain is a gift. You become more compassionate, right? Through this last experience I had, I'm like, why would you throw a winning lottery ticket in the trash? Like, what is wrong with you? I know that I'm a good person. And this is not conceited arrogance or anything. It's just, and I've had a few friends come and surround me and be supportive. They're like, you show up for your friends. You say what you mean. You don't lie. You don't manipulate. You show up for your friends. You are at your core a good person, and you're a beautiful person. And I'm like, you know what? I am. You're right. I'm going to accept that. I'm not going to talk down to myself, right? I'm going to defend my inner child. And absolutely right, damn straight. So this is like kind of a new level of awareness for me to, it only took me 36 years to go, oh, I think I like myself. I think I'm a good person, which is wild. Like it can take a lifetime to really grow spiritually. Some people don't at all.
Yeah, it's such a funny concept, being as nice to yourself as you are to others. Wild. So I'm very much an empath, which is actually like literally how I wrote the question. Um, and just watching you sing, watching your videos, listening to your songs off the new album, which you've called healing, unifying, heart opening, and celebratory. Would you say that you're currently living your dream?
Oh yeah, we're going on tour this fall with Dirty Honey. That's very exciting. We just wrapped an 8-week tour, which the shows were fantastic. It was so good to see our fans, and yeah, I'm very proud of this album, Gifts from the Holy Ghost. I plan on stepping it up even more on the next one. I just stopped listening to people drag me around and tell me what I needed to sound like and dress like and this and that. And I kind of went back to my roots. And this, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. There's been a lot of people that have come across my path that have an opinion, and you really have to trust yourself at the end of the day. And when an empath discovers that they have a secret weapon where they can feel the truth, they become really powerful. And so I used my intuition and my sensitivity to write Gifts from the Holy Ghost and pick the songs and do all the things. And I've had many experiences along the way that full circle showed me that, a lot of the time, trusting my intuition is the way to go. So I'm just really proud of the record. I wanted the songs to be catchy, but I wanted there to be some inspirational stuff sprinkled throughout the record. And there's a couple key lyrics that stand out to me that are really my favorite, like, don't let the demons get you down. You are more than enough. Don't change. And then let the spirit move you. There's just a lot of little tender moments on the record. And also happens to be our heaviest record, which is really exciting for me. And I think I want to lean into that even more because it just feels right. And it feels like who I am as an artist.
Well, I want to talk to you a lot about your music, but first, you're more mysterious than I thought you were. You're not even from the United States, which is crazy. I assumed you were from here. What was it like growing up in Budapest, Hungary?
Well, I am from Budapest, Hungary, but I came to San Diego when I was 3. So
okay, gotcha.
I grew up here. I do remember going to German preschool vaguely. But yeah, I am Hungarian.
Okay, there you go. So that's you. She's San Francisco girl. So San Francisco, I mean, that's a music scene. I'm so Texas. So I'm from Dallas. I live in Austin. Traveled, but never been to San Diego. So like the scene out there, what was it like growing up in that music scene?
I would go buy like used CDs for $2 at Lou's Records. And I had one of those CD towers, like I was a 90s kid. So I had, Nirvana and Chili Peppers and Audio Slave and all that stuff. But I would go to like Street Scene, and there's a couple little venues down here, but I really didn't take music seriously until I was an adult. But I took piano and guitar and all that, but I didn't discover that I actually loved songwriting until much later. But I always loved music, and I would always try to sing and learn how to sing, from all the great female vocalists that I could get my hands on. So it was good. I mean, music was more like I had my Walkman, and it was something that I felt and something that helped me deal with my emotions as a kid, as a teenager. But I never thought like, oh, I'm going to do this one day. And then it happened. Because I was just like, what am I going to do with my life? I'm not going to go sit in a cubicle or work at a restaurant. I just never felt like I felt so out of place everywhere I would go, trying to abide by the rules, by the system, trying to like, be a productive member of society. And it just never, it felt like a lie to me. And so I was like, I don't know. I want to do something. We're all going to die. I need to do something really fulfilling. And full circle, it's music, and it started off selfish, but look, music helps people, and it speaks to people, and it unifies people. So it's very satisfying and rewarding too.
Absolutely. Which female singers do you really gravitate towards?
I just watched the Aretha Franklin movie with Jennifer Holliday, and it was amazing. I love Aretha, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald. And then I would listen to like the Dixie Chicks and Dolly Parton and Tina Turner. There's so many, like Whitney Houston. And there's so many. Celine, like I listen to Celine Dion. She's insane. Like if you don't like Celine Dion, I don't know what to tell you. Her voice is it's insane. I'm sure there's more in there. Janis Joplin. Yeah. But I got a lot from the men too, like Steven Tyler, John Fogerty, Chris Cornell, Kurt Cobain. Like I got a lot of influence from them, maybe more than the women. I don't know why. Probably because I didn't have a good relationship with my father. And I crave that close, intimate connection with a strong male figure. So a lot of the vocalists were, guys, and they just were, rock and roll. It was so badass. I wanted to be like that.
So what's your origin story of how you started singing and performing, and when did things start to take off for you?
I loved singing so much when I was a kid, but I was terrible at it. I didn't know what it meant to sing on key. I had I just didn't know. I just started listening and listening and listening and trying to emulate other singers. And I just really enjoyed it, but I was bad at it.
What was your favorite karaoke song, real quick, before I forget? You must have been doing karaoke, because that's how everyone tries to start.
Yeah, definitely. Or just singing into a hairbrush in the shower. Karaoke, right now, I'll just do some AC/DC at this point. But it's been a while since I've done karaoke, but Highway to Hell is a good one. A really good one.
Okay, back to the story. Sorry I interrupted. Yeah.
So the origin story of how I got into music, I spent a lot of my life being a total fuck up and didn't really know what my purpose was, didn't have a sense of purpose, wasn't sure about my identity. And this isn't all wah, poor me, I'm a victim. No, I just felt very, what am I going to do? Just to keep a roof over my head, I was in and out of gentlemen's clubs. And that was my life. I would take NyQuil to sleep. I would drink and take drugs and stack money and just try to survive in Los Angeles. I didn't know what the hell God put me on this good green earth to do. And I don't usually talk about that, but it got so bad that pain was a gift. And it got so bad that it kind of shoved me into what I hope and would like to call my destiny. And I was like, you know what? I wonder how many people are feeling this way. And I didn't have a way of dealing with it, right? Therapy is expensive. Drugs and alcohol don't work. Maybe they work for a while, but they don't work long term. And why am I so fucked up? I'm going to go in the studio and write about it. And that's just really what I started doing. And so slowly but surely I realized I can do this for real. And I got signed and I started touring and I, met people along the way and certain doors would open and it was a grind, took years. We've been touring for 8 years at least, which is almost a decade. Think about that, But I was I think this is what I want to do. And that's just how I kind of got into that. It was out of sheer survival and necessity. I'm well, what am I going to do? Die in a strip club with a a bunch of different baby daddies and, you know, addicted to drugs. I'm sure God didn't create me for that. And it took a long time to realize that.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. It's just like we're all women just like doing the best we can. And it's really like inspirational, just listening to your story and finding out about like where you came from and where you are now. Astronaut, like we never think of ourselves how we truly are. That is astronomically so much to look up to. It really is. So the first album, Rock is Dead, I fell in love with your music with that album. Tell me about, well, it's actually kind of, you did just talk about like where you were at it. My question was, tell me about how you were feeling during the making of that record. You kind of just did, right?
Yeah, it was a weird time. It was exciting. All these doors were opening. I was drinking a lot. And that was before I realized like maybe I should change the way I'm living, or at least attempt to, you know. But it was fun, you know, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was wild. It was wild rock and roll fueled by whiskey. There was a lot of drama. There was just I was living like, I love Lisa A. Romano so much. I was living what she says below the veil of consciousness. So the stuff I was writing was like, it was good. I think, you know, I enjoyed working with Mark and Ian, the producers, because like I didn't have like any other experience to compare my life to. So I was just grateful to be in the studio. I was just grateful to get a chance to like play with a band. I was so grateful and awestruck. I just couldn't believe that like Jay-Z signed me to Rock Nation. I mean, I really like pinched myself. I like, this is really an opportunity that practically nobody gets. And I don't take that lightly. It's not just like, oh, whatever. Like it was a really exciting time in my life. And, you know, while all the pieces weren't into place on Rock is Dead, as far as like radio, we got a lot of sync and licensing, and it was really cool to hear my music on TV. Like it was really, really cool. You know, it's in this video game, it's on this trailer, it's on the Super Bowl halftime commercial. And it paid the bills. And it was like, wow, this is really cool. I don't have to go work at a strip club. I don't have to, you know, like I am making a living as a musician, and I don't ever have to go back to that life. And so it really just like music, I equated music with freedom and my purpose. And so Rock is Dead was just like my first attempt, and I didn't fully trust myself creatively, you know, and I was kind of like still feeling out my rock voice, and like and I realized I really like all aspects of the creative process, like picking the pictures, designing the album layout, which I worked closely with Michelle at the label on the Rock is Dead album layout. You know, I took all the Polaroids, we took Polaroids on tour and stuff. And so there's like a bunch of different aspects to creativity. It was a lot of hard touring. And I think, you know, I just think it was a great experience. It was like the experience most people have in bands, I guess, when they're kind of doing the same thing that we're doing, but in their teens. But I'm a full-grown adult woman in my 20s, but I feel like a 16-year-old, and I'm having the time of my life. But yeah, there was some dark times, and I'm just glad that we got the chance to do it. And I really like where we're at now. I feel like where we're at now is, I mean, I'm sure it's constantly going to shift and evolve with each album cycle, but I really I love my band. They're just wonderful. And Sam, Elliot, and Jake, everyone's friends. For the most part, like everyone's pretty healthy. They're good people. They're just like, it feels like my bros, you know? And I'm the crazy one in the camp for sure. I say that jokingly, but yeah, I really like where we're at now. And it's been a crazy 8 years.
What I first fell in love with in rock music that I haven't heard in a bunch of years. Like I've gotten very bored with rock music, and I got really into metal. And I'm really this week I've actually been talking to people with clean vocals, like, yay, balance. There you go, rock and roll and metal. Fantastic. But it's the writing in rock and like the sound of rock has gotten so lazy. And for me, it's like lost the feel of what rock and roll is supposed to be. And I think your first album captured that beautifully. And I love all three of them. And especially like it's so perfect of like what rock music is supposed to be. There's so many songs that are out right now and they're like on Sirius and stuff like that. And it's just lazy. It's a lazy songwriting. And I don't like it.
Same. A lot of stuff sounds the same. When I choose songs or I'm writing with people, like I look for that spark. I look for that thing that makes me feel like, oh, did I just get excited? You know, do my ears perk up? Does my spirit perk up? Like, do I feel like that jolt of that? Did I just get struck by lightning? Like, you know, and when something sounds kind of canned, we call it, like sounds canned, it was just made in a factory and it's canned. Like, I don't want any of that on my records. But I mean, yeah, I was so lucky and blessed and honored to have the people that converged on this new album. Keith Wallen, Jason Hook, Trevor Lukather, Scott Stevens, The Four Horsemen, Chris Lord-Alge, Phil X, my band. Like, these are incredibly talented people. And I got to really songwrite on a deeper level than ever before, I think. And I'm really, really super grateful to Chris Lord-Alge. And I mean, he, you know, executive produced and mixed. And so, yeah, wow, there's a lot of real strong guitar players on this too, I think. Like, and I really enjoyed writing with Keith from Breaking Benjamin. We spent a lot of time writing when things seemed really unsure, because sometimes when you have like a change in management, you're not sure what direction you're going to go in. You're not, you know, I felt like I was 40 days, 40 nights in the wilderness. Like I was just in the wilderness, like in limbo, like not sure what I was going to do. And then COVID happened and all that. And I was like, you know what? I have to make a record. Like, this is my record cycle. Nobody's touring. We can't tour. And I need to make an album. And so I just kind of went around and like, wrote with these different incredible people, and Gifts from the Holy Ghost was made.
So, Gun in My Hand, I think, is the best gift that you could ever give to women ever. Do you remember writing that song?
Yeah, I do remember writing that. We had a guy play the harmonica. He's from Austin, Texas. His name's Reverend Talltree. I think we like bumped into him at South by Southwest and we're like, will you play harmonica on this song? I do remember writing that. Yeah. I mean, I was probably drunk, but I remember some of that. A lot of that album was made in a bedroom.
Wow.
You know, it was made in a bedroom with a studio set up. But yeah, I would drive up the hill to Ian's house and we'd write, and then we would record. And I took way too many vocal takes, like thousands and thousands that did not need to happen. And yeah, I remember like Rock is Dead really kept me going.
Awesome. Well, that's the song that I send all my girlfriends when I tell them about you. So I'm like, oh, hey, listen to this. That's the one I sent to my friends to hook them and get them in. I love that one. What was like the most emotional song for you? Like the one that was maybe like filled with the most pain or anguish, or like This Is My Heart off the first album?
Shelter. Like I didn't have a great relationship with my stepdad. And I don't know why, like there was a connection between that song and him, because we did not have a good relationship. I did not get, you know, he couldn't attune to me emotionally, and there was some abuse and like, but I guess that's like the little girl in me saying like, Dad, will you protect me? Will you give me shelter? Will you, you know, that thing. So that was hard. And I remember Mark didn't show up to the studio that day, not just because he's being a jerk, like he had a legitimate reason. So it was just me and Ian goes, you know what? I have this song idea. And he starts strumming it on the guitar and he's singing. he's singing the hook, will you give me shelter? And I just started bawling. I lost it. And at the time I wasn't in recovery or anything. And I called my best friend. I was like, Grace, I can't even handle what's happening. Can you please bring me a giant bottle of Johnny Walker so I can do this damn song? Like, I couldn't stop crying. I could not stop crying. So I couldn't even I couldn't perform. I couldn't sing. So I had a few drinks and we did it in one take or two takes.
Wow.
It was like a 1 or 2 take thing where it was just super raw. It is drenched in distortion. Because that was kind of the vibe and the sound of the first record. I think we were just all obsessed with the Black Keys, and
I do love that sound. Like, I think it's sexy. It's not like, that's not a nice way to talk about it. It's like, it's a vibe.
It is a vibe. No, it totally
sexy vibe.
It fit the mood. It was drenched in distortion, but I think you can kind of hear the vulnerability and the heartache behind it. And so, yeah, it was like 1 or 2 takes, and then, yeah.
I love it. So the next song that a lot of people would know you for is Flawless. Can you tell us the story behind Flawless?
Yeah, Flawless was one of the last songs we wrote for 28 Days in the Valley. Linda Perry just started strumming the guitar, and the lyrics were just coming to me. And I love when a song like practically writes itself, and it's just really inspired in the moment. And I had gone through a bad breakup, one of many, Jesus, and this person was, well, it doesn't matter. I wrote my experience into a song, and it's the first song that really made it to radio and charted at number 8 on the mainstream rock chart, which was great. It was awesome, and is, I think, one of our favorite songs to do at our shows. It's got just it's just this fun, upbeat, but it's just also, it was born out of so much dysfunction and pain and why? But here we go. We have Flawless, and I love seeing big, drunk, burly guys with their shirts off and their PBR tall cans, like they did at Trees in Dallas, just wailing Flawless at the top of their lungs. It's such a dichotomy. It's so funny. That's such a girl power song. And these dudes in Dallas are just like, ah! And that was the huge payoff for me. I was like, God, this song is hitting people. This is great. So
that is so funny. So I'm from Dallas. I'm a Deep Elm girl. So Trees is my old hometown venue. Shout out to Trees.
Shout out to Trees.
Shout out to Trees. That's so funny. Another song I just start singing to myself all the time when I'm doing laundry or walking down the street is Pretty When You're High. One of my absolute favorite songs. What's your relationship with that song? How do you feel about it? What do you love about it?
I think it's cool. I mean, I think the sounds on that record are cool, like the amps and the guitar tones that were used.
Oh, so it's not your favorite.
It is. No, it's not my favorite. I like that song a lot. I think the hook is really catchy. Yeah, no, I have no problem with that song at all. I think it's fun. It's fun California desert rock, and I think I wrote it about a guy who smoked a lot of weed, a lot, more than I've ever seen anyone smoke. Yeah. And he was very happy, so there you go.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. I love it. Well, talking, we've kind of been doing it the entire time, but let's talk specifically about the album that brought us together today. Recently released, Gifts from the Holy Ghost, the songs Rest in Peace, Beautiful Life, so exuberant, inspiring, exactly what's going on in my life, as I've been also talking about. I'm choosing myself, I'm choosing joy when I could go dark if I wanted to, but I'm worth more than that. And that's what I feel when I hear these songs. Let's talk more about that, I guess.
That's exactly what I wanted when I wrote these songs. I wanted, I was speaking to people. A Beautiful Life is a really personal song on the record for me because, and that lyric, I know the ups and downs are strange. You are more than enough. Don't change. Don't let the demons get you down. Those were really important lyrics because So like we were talking about, gaslighting and abuse, and it is a real personal experience for me, and I've unfortunately gone through it a couple times. But before I knew what it was, and before I was aware of the patterns, and before I just was conscious of this at all, I stayed in a relationship where after 9 months of gaslighting, I felt suicidal, and like I legitimately felt suicidal. I didn't like attempt it. I didn't have a plan. I was self-medicating. It was just very dark, but, I didn't know what this was. And it was also a catalyst for my awakening. And I was like, I really want to help people heal from this. This is just so trash. Like I want people to be empowered and heal from this. And so, it happened years ago, but then the experience stays in you, and you never know when God's going to give you beauty for ashes. You never know. And I'm sitting in Jason Hook's studio in Vegas, and we wrote the song, and like the verses just came out of me. And I'm like, oh my God, I know what this is about. And so I imagine myself speaking to like a suicidal high school student, or a teenager that just is just so like nobody sees them, nobody like can see them. And I wanted fans, when they heard these lyrics, to feel seen, because I didn't feel seen. I was being told that my reality wasn't valid. I was being told that what I was feeling wasn't valid, and that I was crazy, and on a consistent basis. I was being told that, I was causing all the problems, when I was really just trying to communicate and get to the bottom of something and have resolution. But with that type of abuse, you're not going to get resolution. There is no resolution. This person is wired for conflict. This person is wired to hook you in, use you, and discard you. They don't care about your feelings. They don't have empathy. And it was really hard for me to wrap my brain around that. And so, I'm just glad that experience wasn't in vain, and that this song came out of it. So that's one of my favorite songs on this record. It's certainly one of the most personal.
I love it. And it's the classic, why do you make me do this to you kind of thing. It's just like, that's crazy. And that's just exactly what that is. It's for anyone, man or woman who is struggling out there, just experiencing those kinds of things. So it's not all in vain.
Yeah. And if people want to kind of like get an idea of what it's like, because they have no idea what I'm talking about, watch Dirty John on Netflix. Watch Dirty John, watch the Betty Broderick story. I don't recommend shooting your ex. Don't do that. But like, you can kind of see the
journey. Oh my God. Yeah.
Journey that they go through, and how, just how crazy psychological abuse can be, and what it can do to you, but look, it was a catalyst for my awakening. I wrote the song, and I just hope and pray that song helps people.
Absolutely. Well, that, and what was the one about the raw vegan story? Did you watch that one about the woman in New York?
Yeah, that was crazy.
That one too.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and that Betty Broderick story, that was so hard to watch. That was terrible.
Yeah,
that was absolutely the worst.
And I love you. If they say I love you within 2 weeks, or if they say I love you before a few months, they don't. Okay, they do not.
Well, here's my dilemma in that every relationship I've ever had in my entire life, they told me they loved me the same day we met or within a week.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can see how that screwed me. Sorry to interrupt. So like great loves of my life, from the very beginning started off like that. And they were real relationships, and they weren't bad relationships. They weren't like bad or abusive or anything like that. So now that I'm an adult, I don't know what's just me and how I date, or what's if it's real or if it's not, because every relationship I've ever had every man I've ever met told me they love me within a day or a week. So I
Yeah.
don't know what's right or wrong.
I have very similar experiences. I think they just, you're an empathetic woman, so you're going to attract, and maybe you're wired through trauma, whatever happened to you in your childhood, to attract these types of partners. And I just don't think someone that means it, that is healthy, they're gonna wait to say it, and you might say it back and mean it, but they started it. You know what I'm saying? Like the last experience I had, this man, the first day I met him, said he's gonna marry me. He literally was like, "I'm gonna marry you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're a lunatic." And so immediately I was like, "No, you're crazy." But then he somehow got my guard down because he was a covert, vulnerable narcissist, very disarming, very self-deprecating, very self-loathing. You feel bad for them. You know, it's all manipulation.
Well, it's super funny. And like the situation I just got out of for like 2 years, it's the most celebrated. He like helped create a genre of music. He's the most celebrated person in the entire world, telling me every day, oh, I suck. Oh, I'm terrible. Oh, I'm awful. I'm not great. And it's just like, and it breaks your heart because it's like, oh my God, if you could only see what I see the world in you. And it's like the most heartbreaking thing in the entire world. And you mentioned it a few times. I like hadn't said anything, but it's like the most heartbreaking thing in the entire world for an empath to sit there and see someone they like really care about go like, I'm not worth anything. I'm terrible. I suck. I don't, I suck. You shouldn't care.
Yeah,
It's
I
like the
went through
most
that.
heartbreaking
Yeah,
thing in the entire world for someone you see the world in to say, I don't, I'm nothing. I don't suck. And like, it's just like one of the most celebrated people in the entire world. Everyone loves them, and
really sad.
it's just like, well, and it's also manipulation, which
That,
I
yeah,
finally learned.
I just went through the same thing. Like this person that says I'm nothing and I hate myself, um, has no problem turning around and treating you like as if you're the one that's nothing. So that's when you're like, oh,
Yep. 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 And, yeah. Yeah. It was really, yeah. And I also didn't like that because every time he would say like, oh, I suck or something like that, I'd be like, why are you setting it up in advance for you to treat me badly? Like when he was saying, oh, I suck, I felt like really annoyed me because it was like, I feel like he's setting up that expectation for him to treat me badly in the future.
maybe, yeah. I'm
I don't
sorry
know.
for that.
Oh, it's just very funny. And it's like, I don't mean to talk about, this is your interview and I want to talk about you, but I don't mean to talk about like what I was going through as well, but it's just so similar. And that's why I'm connecting so deeply with your music is because I'm getting out of a similar situation where I don't have to be sad all the time and I can choose joy. And choosing joy is great. Yay. So that's why I've been connecting with it, so much. Um, so you did experience something really heavy, and I'm Christian as well, and I love to talk about my faith as often as possible, especially being like so metal. I'm also Christian. I love to talk about that as well. There was a really heavy situation when you were on tour, and one of your guitar techs OD'd. What happened with that?
Yeah, that's the day I started believing in God because I, have been, in and out of the rooms of recovery for years, and I, they're like, oh, you gotta have a higher power, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what that means, And then, so I was praying in my bunk. I was like, God, if you're there, I need you to reveal yourself because I have no idea what they're talking about. And then the next day, it was a dry tour. I'm sober. Nobody does drugs in the band, no drugs or alcohol on the bus or in the green rooms. It's supposed to be a dry tour, but the tech was using and picked up some heroin in Philly. And then we're taking off. We're in the middle of nowhere on the highway. And apparently, my sound guy heard him choking in his bunk, and they pulled him out and tried to administer CPR. I mean, he was gone for a while. They woke me up, and when I saw him, I knew he was spirit had left his body. Like I could tell, and it's just something told me to pray for him, and I did. And I wasn't religious. To me, it's not about religion; it's about relationship to God. And I'm like, all right, God, if you can give him and just give him another chance and send him back, and something told me, all right, we're sending him back now. And I feel like that was the Holy Spirit talking to me. And I know that was the Holy Spirit talking to me. And that was just the beginning of of God chasing me down. But I did knock first, I'm like, God, if you're there, I need you to show up, and I don't know what I'm doing and I need your help. So then this thing happened, but I was not scared the whole time. There was no fear. It was, I could feel this presence that was amazing, like awesome. And yeah, he was gone for a while, and the CPR wasn't working. And then paramedics made it to our bus and were able to revive him. So I don't know where he is. I don't know if he got sober. I don't know. But all I know is that was the day I was like, God is real, and there's nothing you can do or say to change my mind. So
that's a beautiful story.
It was pretty amazing. It was pretty awesome.
That's so awesome. So for anyone, I'm thinking about anyone listening to this interview, I'm Christian as well. So I pray, and like I have a testimonial book, and that's like what I do. I don't go to church or anything like that. Like I stopped going when I was in high school because my family was very high up in the church and they weren't great people. So I stopped and then just had my own relationship with God on my own.
Yeah.
For any of your fans out there that are just like kind of curious about, like, what is this all about? Are there any testimonial books or anything that you've watched that you just really appreciated when you found God? Things that you could relate to in case there are any people out there that are just kind of curious about it?
Yeah. I really like listening to Stephen Furtick and Joel Osteen. I couldn't stand Joel Osteen before, and then once like my eyes were opened, it's a totally different story. And yeah, like again, it's about relationship to God. Jesus said it's the sick that need a hospital. So you don't go to church and find just a plethora of amazing, well-adjusted, perfectly balanced, whole, healthy people, but they're seeking a relationship with God. I was like, I understand how the world views it and the stereotypes and all that, because again, it's the sick that need a hospital, right? So, but I think that you can have a relationship with God in your bedroom, in your closet, like just praying on your lunch break at work, it's not about judgment and being perfect. It's that God loves us all, no matter what. God accepts and loves us all, no matter what. However, there have been, there's his way of living that's been given to us so that we have a healthy, well-adjusted life. Because we're a mess. We're humans. Like we're a mess, but I try to just live my life that way. I try to take like what Jesus taught and absorb it and internalize it. And but that man lived a perfect life. There's nothing, I can't come even close to that. But real love has been modeled. It's been modeled for us. And it's wild. My prayers do get answered. Like to the point where I'm like, if you didn't send this man, take him away. And this has happened twice now.
Wow.
That person leaves within 48 hours, leaves. One of my favorite pastors, Rex Crane, had a similar experience. I'm not going to share his story because I don't know if it's, it was a conversation we had. But when you pray, like miracles really do happen. And even if they seem so painful at the time and so confusing, I legitimately said, God, if you didn't send this man and he's not good for me, take them away. And like within 48 hours, there was a conversation, and I'm getting dumped while I'm on tour. And now I've got to go through the healing process. Like I still, down here, it's a little slow. Like I got to go through the healing process, and it's not been easy. So, but God does answer prayers, and God does protect his children.
Absolutely. And kind of to confirm that, super true in my life as well. Like the best, most fruitful times in my life where everything's just kind of falling out of the sky for me has been like the times when I've been praying about it. So to kind of like confirm and back that up, I'm like, like honestly and truly. Well, with so much tour experience, let's kind of talk about touring for you. Like touring as a woman, there's like baby wipes. I've seen some of the butcher babies, what they do on tour. Like, what do you do on tour?
What do I do on tour? I wake up, I sleep in. I let myself sleep in as long as I need to. I wake up, I have coffee. I will pray, write in my journal, just like my prayers for the day, what I'm, what I would like, but also what does God want of me? What is being required of me? What's being asked of me? I'll get my Brooks running shoes and my headphones, and I will go for a run. Literally, I jogged so much all around America on this last tour. It was great. I would just like listen to The Cure and 80s dark wave, and like I just did a deep dive on this whole genre of music, and I would go find the river walk or the park or whatever, and just go for a run. And that's how I stayed in shape. And then I'd come back, take a shower, and it's really like Groundhog's Day. You have to have a routine on tour. Sometimes I'll go find like a nice coffee shop or just like kind of look around. It's fun to go explore in the city that you're in. So I hit a lot of museums. Didn't have time to go in and take the tours, but definitely taking pictures of different museum grounds and some of the installations that they would have outside. That was really therapeutic, and I appreciate that a lot. And then I get ready for the show. Like I eat a big lunch or whatever. Do a Zoom meeting if I can. Go to an AA meeting on an off day. Near me if I can, if it's safe. And sometimes I'll take someone with me, but and then I just, I get ready for the show. I shower, I do my hair and makeup, I warm up a lot. There's sound check, meet and greet, play the show, and then like I unwind and go to bed early. Or try to go to bed early. Sometimes you're on an adrenaline high, and it's difficult to come down off that high. So
What have you replaced alcohol with? Like everyone like, oh, I don't drink, so I smoke or something like that. I personally love to drink after a show. Like what have you found that works for you that you've subbed with that has worked instead of alcohol?
Well, unfortunately, relapse is a big part of my story.
Great question, right? Yeah.
Right, no, but rigorous honesty. And like I get to identify what my triggers are. Like, oh, abandonment, that's a huge trigger. Well, like there's really not a better replacement for alcohol than a relationship with God and a recovery program. I think, it's worked for my friends that have long-term sobriety. And it's really when I feel my best. I know people that have 13 years sober and don't work a program and have replaced it with God knows what exercise and all sorts of who knows, and it's like they're dry, honestly, because it's just the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the way you treat people. The proof is in the how just how you operate as a human being. And so I would rather have like 6 months and be working a program and not be like tearing my hair out than have a decade and be dry, because it's really uncomfortable and it's not real recovery. But I don't know how much I have to offer people on this subject. I just think replacing it with a program and therapy and God is probably the best option. But, if you just replace one addiction for another, you're just putting a Band-Aid on a forest fire. That's not real healing. You're just replacing one addiction with another. And just because you don't put that substance in your body doesn't mean you're not acting like a crazy person. So, yeah.
That's such a good point. I never really thought about that, about being cut off from yourself and still being in tune with yourself. Like, okay, I can't feel this, so I can't feel anything. I've never really thought about that. And that's so true. That's like such a big aspect of life. And I think I've seen that before, where people are like afraid, I can't do this, so they won't do anything, or they detach from their self, I think is what you were saying. That's definitely a really good point. So what are we're the last few questions, we're like here at the end. I just want to know for you what some of your favorite lyrics are of all time, ones that have touched you the most.
Ooh. Look into my eyes, you will see what you mean to me. And basically the entire song, Everything I Do It For You by Bryan Adams, is one of the greatest love songs of all time. That's one of my favorites. I Will Always Love You by Dolly Parton. That's just, I love songs. In fact, I plan on writing a motherfucker of a love song after this. Like, this is good ammo. Let me think. That's like, I gotta really think about that.
Yeah, because those songs, like, there's a few that you hear and you immediately just start crying, right? So those are love songs.
There's a new song by Jimmy Levy, and his lyric, "Who's gonna show the children what is wrong and what is right?" And I started sobbing. I couldn't even contain it. So that lyric really hit me in my soul, in my heart. But yeah, there's too many good ones. I don't know. But that's like a new song that's out that it recently just hit me. So
I love that song. Well, I don't, just kind of, you've been so raw the whole time. I kind of wanted to know which song has like the most emotion tied up in it for you. Is it kind of all of them, I guess?
on the new record?
Well, like as a person in the crowd, when I kind of like always want to know what's like going on, or like what's, when someone goes in to sing a new song, or, they're up there on stage when I'm watching, I kind of want to know what I'm watching. So like from your set or new set that you'll be playing with like the new record, like which ones really mean the most to you, I guess?
Medicine Man's always a really good moment because it's like a prayer, because I'm asking God to change me and help me and change my ways, because I can't do it this way anymore. And I'm done. Like, I give up, Jesus, take the wheel. So, that's a good moment live every time. That song just feels really powerful. And I feel very in it when it's happening. And Flawless, the chorus, like it feels very victorious to me. It's like very empowering. So I always feel like, when someone mistreats you or whatever, it's turning around saying, nope, I am beautiful. I am worthy of love. I am beautiful. No, you won't, Satan, not today. So, so that's another one. And then, we haven't, Rest in Peace. I can't take any credit for that songwriting, but I feel like Scott and the guys, they just took the words right out of my mouth. You can't hang your chains on me when you can't. That song sounds like a breakup song, but to me, it's like talking to this disease of alcoholism, or like whatever your issues are, your demons. It doesn't have to be an ex. To me, it's deeper than that. But It's like saying, no, I'm not going to live under this curse. This ends with me. I'm going to make a change in my life. And it's just, breaking free of bondage. And it's really like, it really is very personal to me, even though he wrote it, he just gets me. He got it.
It's beautiful. I really love the way that you talk about that, because it does sound like a breakup song, but actually when you talk about, all the things that burden you in life, you can't hang, talking to it specifically, you can't hang your chain on me. It's perfect. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being so real and honest. This is probably, I don't know, I've been doing press for like 10 plus years. I always say I want to do press just to be able to say thank you. This has to be like one of the conversations I'm most thankful for in my entire life, that I couldn't have like imagined would have, there's nothing about this that could have been like a better chat or a better talk, just for everything that I feel from your music. So this has definitely got to be like one of the best interviews I'm just like most thankful for. So thank you for being so honest and so real. Is there anything that you want to say to your fans to leave us with?
Yes. We love you guys so much. We do. Thank you for allowing us to do what we do. And we'll be hitting the road this fall with Dirty Honey. You can get tickets at dorothyaonfire.com. We start in September. I'm so excited to see you guys. We're going to be all over the United States again. And I hope you love Gifts from the Holy Ghost. I hope it gets you through some darkness, and just hang in there, whatever you're going through. I know it's painful, but pain is a gift, remember? So we love our fans so much, and I just want to say thank you to them, and that we do see you.